Okay, this is video number 2 of addendum on combined commentary on Matrix as well as Alien and other movies as well. You know, like I mentioned briefly, other movies in the first tape, in the first video. So we'll continue. So this is the 4, right? The 4 is some kind of a deity. I don't know what they mean by that, really. It may mean, you know, the guy downstairs or upstairs or supernatural deity or, you know, I don't know. I mean, these guys have like all kind of schemes on numbers, schemes and scams on numbers. I have no doubt that they haven't seen anything with their own eyes and they're just making up things, right? They've seen things, you know, show me and I will take that into consideration. All right, we'll continue. So as you can see, this will eventually become something big at the end. You will see at the end. So here they tell us that the way of infecting Dr. Holloway with that genetic material, and notice those projections here, they're the guns similar to the Nostromo in Alien, right? That there are other ways he got in, you know, like he got the material from elsewhere, right? You know, like, and now he's infected. So it's not just by way of insemination. See, that's him. So now apparently their contact with that world, or supposedly the engineers 2000 years ago, which she said it's us, right? You know, when she was viewing the DNA profile, she said they're us, meaning these are the Israelites 2000 years ago, is what she's saying. And she mentioned the 2000 years. But is she, because David is also, you know, David confuses or undermines this theory because they make him look like a mechanical thing. So who are they? So in one of the deleted scene, Idris says that he used to fly out of Jordan and so on. Jordan meaning Jordan, the country in the Middle East, right? So that we're very certain now where we are, right? And you got your 12 here, and that face, I don't know, that face looks ugly. Okay, I want you to see something here. Notice there are stacks and stacks, countless number of those incubators, right? Or not incubators, of stored genetic materials, right? Maybe cryogenic uh, storage or frozen, like by nitrogen or something of the sort.
How many years ago?
Remember that.
What the hell? Rebel, we don't see that. This way, sir.
So the only one alive. Apparently, this particular place was about to go extinct, but there is still one strand or one of the engineers still alive.
So he's alive? Absolutely. You ever speak to him? I believe I can.
Now notice those conduits, the communication conduits, on Neo, they're from the back of the head. So on Ripley's back of the head and elsewhere. But this guy, they're out of his mouth like a mask, you know? Meaning this guy doesn't receive orders. He issues them. He's a controller. So the engineers are controllers, is what they're trying to say here. See how he gets up? and those begin to disconnect from him, those flexible conduits. Notice they're all forward, but not in the back of the head, they're in the front. All right. Okay, here's one note to make. He wants to destroy her. But this here, what looks like a squid, is really her baby, right? That's her baby. The one that she aborted by way of cesarean section. It's now grown up, right? And it's now fighting for her or not for her because, something. She wants to destroy the engineers. Notice. But now it's very large. So she gave birth to a monster. Uh-oh. Notice, you'll see the four. They're like four tentacles. All right, I'm going to stop here. Okay, here there's a point I want to make, and then I will move to the other movie, which is The Matrix. Notice the xenomorph that breaches out of his chest looks like a hobo. Notice, the head is like a head of a hopo bird. Hopoe, I think, or something of the sort. But what is the significance of that? The significance of that is very simple. In the Quran, Allah speaks of Sulaiman or Solomon, son of David, manipulating or owning jinns or demons and making them working them like slaves and so on. But then he speaks of Solomon being able to talk to animals and hear animals, right? Like such as ants, such as hobo, and so on and so forth, right? And he tells the hobo, he exchanges chat with he has an exchange or chat with the hobo, who discovered the Queen of Sheba or Queen of Saba, Balqis, right? And then, if you read the Quran, you will see what I'm talking about. And it's really a bird, Some people, very few, God gives them the ability to understand birds, and sometimes to very rare situations, very rare occurrences, to even talk to them, right? Yes, that does happen. That is there, right? But very few, and they often the case they don't tell you about that. But now the Jews interpret that when they read it, the hobo, as really he's not talking about a bird. He's a flying demon, is what they say. He just named him as a hobo because he doesn't want to disclose the details, is what they're saying. And that's what happened here, right? That's what they're trying to say here. But that's the head of the hobo, right? Hopoe or Hopo. It's a type of bird that has like a crest like that in the back. And I mean, that's exactly what it is. That's my take on it. Okay. Now I'm going to move to the surprise and the link between these movies. So I'm going to show you the engineer.
He's going into arrest.
Lock, I got him. Now, thanks. Now.
There's that incubation pod that very last engineer was in when they woke him up, and he got up and decapitated David and so on. There he is. Keep looking. There he is. See? When he got up, he got out. The hair, the head. All right, see, look. And that thing that was inserted in his mouth and so on by that alien. Keep looking. That's the engineer. There. That's the engineer. I told you to notice. What did I say about the stacks and stacks of those genetic materials, whether for cloning or genetic material or cryogenic or cloning materials or frozen sperms for intravenous inseminations and so on and so forth, right? And they're in the billions, right? These were in fact cloned and grew when the first Prometheus was dropped off by that flying saucer or ship, spaceship, right? And then he dissolved into his elemental materials, DNA materials, and dissolved in the water, right? But then they began to reform again. That's them right there. See? They're in the billions. That I don't believe he is the father of those. He is the first one. He is one of the descendants. So where is the Prometheus at the beginning of the movie? He was dropped off and then began the movie. That is called Prometheus. You know how he stood next to, and drank his cup and then fell into the ravine, or not the ravine, the waterfall, right? I don't believe that's him, but that is a product of him. Keep noticing. See? Look, that's the engineer. This guy doesn't know anything. He's just looking and seeing things that his brain is not. He's newly born, right? Cloned, not born, cloned. So whatever material that dissolved, that early Prometheus, first creature down, right, with the cape, right, or kaftan, dissolved into the water, into the waterfall, he's one of them, right? The DNA material. So we are talking cloning here. I am almost certain. Notice, that's the engineer right there. There. That is David. Remember, I told you to remember when David came and woke up the last living one, right? The last living engineer in the spaceship. That looks to me like it's him. So now the engineer is no longer in control. The engineers are being possessed and cloned and made into slaves, right? I think we're talking about the story of Solomon and his utilization of demons and devils and so on. Watch that movie, which I made my commentary. There are about 30 videos I made commentary on this. You're under control, and you will not be treated good. Oh man, that must hurt. So, the engineers, the tables have been switched by Dr. Shaw and Holloway, and and now there's different control. Who controls who, right? Same thing as the awakening of the engineer, the last engineer. So now I said the Arabs. Then I thought the engineers, when she said they're us, meaningly the Jews, right, of old age. And so on and so forth. It's hard to really know. It's a little bit confusing who they mean by that. But notice, like it's the same thing. You know how those flexible conduits or control channels, right? Disconnect from him. And here, where I guess it was new birth, no, this is more like he's being shitted. I know, ha ha ha. Or it could be both. Remember when Trinity said, when they hid from the Sentinels, and she said these are like hundreds of sewers that are hundreds of miles long or something. In the sewers, they hide in the sewers. There he is. Yeah, down the sewers you go, my God. So as you can see, he's picked up.
To the real world.
Now he's being treated. Neo, in this movie, as I showed you, he is being treated like a rabid dog, and he's being tormented and humiliated and beaten and effed and I mean the treatment of Neo. But this is not the Neo who walked on into the room where Morpheus was. That Neo is really the Adam, the one that who dissolved into the waterfall and down the ravine, right?
We found him.
I hope you're right.
No, that's not. I know it.
Okay, I made mention of Casper, Ghost, and so on. Well, but if you look, I showed you the titles in Prometheus, and the first thing they show is two neons like this, right? And then he is in the middle. That's the engineer. Right there, right? So in a way, they kind of confuse you. You think he's not human. There you think, as they declare by way of genetic or DNA profile, that he's us. I mean, these guys are confused, man. Right?
Am I dead? Far from it.
Hmm. Okay, let me stop here for a second. So here, as I mentioned in the earlier two series of Matrix Dissected and Next Level, right? I want to show you something here. See, he's looking at his private part, which means they're extracting genetic materials from him or sperms while he's asleep by way of the window. Close your window. Sorry. Okay. Notice what he says.
This line is tapped, so I must be brief. If they got to you first, but they underestimated how important you are. If they knew what I know, you would probably be dead. What are you talking about? What is happening to me? You are the one, Neo.
You are the one that was trapped off by that spaceship and then disintegrated into DNA elements in the waterfall and down in the ravine and down in the water lake or something. He's the father. So the Neo that woke up from, or the engineer that got up from the incubation pod, right, or the stasis chamber, it's not him, but his clone, and they're in the billions.
You may have spent the last few I've spent my entire life looking for you.
Yeah, you know, in real life, that much is true.
Yes, then go to the Adam Street Range.
Here's what he said. Notice.
Looking for you. Now do you still want to meet? Yes, then go to the
Adam Street Bridge. So he is the first one who was dropped off. The engineer who was dropped off. This guy is the same story, same line of events, same logic, same concept being applied here and applied there. Like I said, all these movies, right? They all orbit and hover and orbit and stick to the same subject, you know, like the same idea, the same dogma. And that's obviously Adam Street Bridge, right? So he is a bridge, right? He's bridging from one world into another, as I explained. He's passing a bridge from one world into another. All right, let me pause it here. And, you know, if you watch the series I made about this movie, you'll see the decapitated headless figure, and he's a machine. And oh, this Neo, huh, he is walking into something so complex, so hellacious. They just want his sperms, and that's it. You're out, and then your sperms become the Neo that is treated like animal, tormented and treated and cloned, and they become machines. And like they say, you know, a slave is made. It's not he's a slave is not bought. A slave is made. A bit like Alice tumbling down that rabbit hole, huh? And there's your four ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right?
tumbling
1, 2, 3.
down the rabbit hole. You can say that. I can see it in your eye.
Ah, he knows him. This guy is uninitiated. He's dumb. I mean, he's blank. I mean, he's walking him into a trap right before his eyes. He just doesn't think. I don't blame him. Sometimes when he's young, you know, he's young. You know, when we're young, we don't know much, right? And then here is the Damien rabbit hole. That's the rabbit hole there. It's a fireplace, right? Hell. There's 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 7.
Have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he's expecting to wake up.
What does that mean? Accept what he sees. Never accept what you see. Especially when the one who's talking to you is wearing sunglasses in a dark room.
I think this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate? Why not? Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
See, they convince young people that they need to make their own decisions, and they separate them from parents and so on, and they do to them what they do to his clones or his children.
I know exactly what you mean.
He knows exactly what he means because he's been through it before, and the place is indicative of ancient setup.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What? You know you can.
And you see the lions here. So he's a lion. Maybe his name is Lion, just like my name. Osama means lion. No. Don't drink that.
I'm not in control of my life.
So this here is really the engineer, the first engineer who dissolved into the waterfall. That's him.
What do you mean? Let me tell you why you're here.
Oh, really?
You're here because you know something.
So as you hear when he's talking to him and leading him into over a ravine, over a waterfall, or when he's misleading them, if you will. There's thundering, right? There's thundering. Thundering is really what it is. Sorry about that. It's really that supposedly Allah or God getting angry. Why? Because He doesn't want him to walk into such a trap. Because He knows the consequences of it. While He is going to be demolished, and killed, and He's gone. He's going to dissolve, just like the first engineer does. But his offspring and clones and so on.
But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. But there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
Splinter in your mind means there's some. Our concept in Islam, it tells us about the other one that keeps putting ideas and misleads us and dissolves our morals and so on and so forth and leads us astray. There's always that, the one that keeps echoing in your psyche, in your subconscious, and so on and so on. And there's that, and then there's you, and then there's other, right? So that's why your life, we are in life like we're being pulled like a rope, right? I forgot the name of the give me a second. Yeah, it's called tug of war, and we're the rope, right? And that's what life is. So the splinter in your mind, he means that, and that's probably himself.
Because this feeling has brought you to me.
Yeah, it took a while and subtleties, and then but eventually he kind of skidded. He pushed him and he fell down. He's here now. You take the blue pill and you leave, right? Because if you're a blue, they don't care for you. If you're not a blue, here I said before in my commentary on the Matrix, Neo here, the Adam, Street Bridge or Adam, or the first Prometheus or engineer, right? He just can't go back anymore, right? That's it. He's here, that's it. He can't go out.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Matrix.
Matrix, right?
Do you want to know what it is?
See, he misleads him. I mean, this is psychologically studied, and like O'Brien said, or Burton told Winston, John Hurt, that no one book is written by one man alone or something of the sort. This here and Alien and so on is a collaboration of a number of people.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room.
That's him, right?
You can see it.
So that's Hellfire. Supposedly that's where Damien is as well, right? The fireplace. And as you can see, you see something like this in a movie I watched before about, I think by Liam Neeson, where he takes people into an abandoned house, right? And it turns out that the owner of the house is still alive in spirit and so on, and kills all of them and stuff like that.
You look out your window. Or when you...
But then you see the 4-1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That must be an evil. I know it's not God or Allah.
You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
Okay, here's the scene that is relevant to what I said earlier about cloning and the engineers. All these are engineers.
Fate, it seems.
Here, it's green, and I said the green color is Islam, right? But why a tie is because Islam is choking him, right? There's well known, the religion of Islam is anti-devil, anti-Satan, and Iblis, right? So he's being like choked by Islam.
It's not without a sense of irony. The human body generates
Okay, notice
electricity that a 120 battery
these are clones
25.
from the original Adam, who was Neo under Adam Bridge Street, and then he took the red pill, but that guy is gone. He dissolved just like the first Prometheus on the side of that waterfall in the movie Prometheus. But these are the clones, right? These are the clones and clones from clones and so on. Notice, right?
Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need.
All the energy. Similar to us saying that when we got the cow and the bull, or the chicken and the rooster, now we have limitless amount of meat and egg and chicken meat and beef and so on and so forth. All we have to do is feed them, and they reproduce, and then we use their offspring to eat, to feed ourselves, eat, right? And that's what he's talking about, energy. What does he mean? Because he, the Morpheus, is probably dumb as shit. So they use our brains. Maybe they use it to calculate money for, investors and stuff like that, cryptos and whatnot. See, all these are clones. Endless fields. These are no longer born. These are the engineers. So now I am thinking Dr. Shaw and her company is really not human beings, right? But they were the demons around Solomon, right? And the engineers are them during the time of David and Solomon, who in their mind they deem as a machine, like Ash, or maybe like Neo. I don't know. I mean, but this is definitely what I said it is. Remember, I showed you the engineer or Neo emerging from that incubator. That's ugly, folks. That's ugly. That needs to be burned or destroyed.
For the longest time, I wouldn't believe it. And then I saw the fields with my own eyes. Watched them liquefy the dead so they could be fed intravenously.
I don't know what that means. I don't think it's food. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe. This has happened. Uh, if you remember the mad cow disease in England, when people started getting the mad cow disease, it turned out that the whatever the remnants after they slaughter a cow or a bull, they feed the remnant, they grind the bones and whatever into powder, right? They pulverize the remains of the cow after they take the meat and so on, and they feed it to the other cows. Turns out that there's cannibalism even after death, right? And then mad cow disease appeared.
I'm standing there, facing the pure light.
See? Or it could also mean, I explained that time and again, or it could mean indoctrination. They raise them. Because this here doesn't have memory before its birth, right? So when it is born, it gets used to its surrounding and they feed it whatever they feed it. Similar to a chicken, if you get an egg from a turkey or vice versa, a chicken and egg and turkey, when they hatch, although they hatch differently, the turkey still loves that baby chicken or chick, right? And feeds it and protects it and all, and so does the chicken, right? You can even get, in cats as well, get kittens from a cat and then give them to a bobcat, for example. It'll raise them and protect them because like a brain is very powerful. A human brain is very powerful, and this is an engineer now, right? So the engineers now are under control.
Precision. I came to realize
but they're engineers, right? They got that big head, you see?
Yes, this is the truth.
There you go.
What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream.
That's not the case, folks. Maybe it's spiritual, is what he means. Computer generated, maybe it's in the spirit. Maybe when we're asleep, maybe so and so is where they siphon off or steal our genetic materials and so on.
Built to keep us under control in order to change a human being. into this?
Well, you get energy to run your computer, to blah blah. And as I explained it earlier, energy here does not mean uh, similar to food. Here it means brain power, it means energy, it means a lot of things, right? So it's similar to us eating beef and chicken and so on, right? So under control. And that's what the engineers were before they were dropped here on this planet. So now, in the movie Prometheus, in the video before this, and that first Adam or Prometheus who dissolved into the waterfall, into DNA material, he probably didn't know that this is where it was going. They just dropped him as soon as he took the drink or the red pill, right? When he drank, the thing with his finger up like this, right? He drank it. That's the red pill, right? And then he dissolved. Maybe he didn't know, but he realized where he is at, and he just can't go back.
No.
This also could be virtual. Once you believe in something, similar to O'Brien telling Winston that he's going to evaporate his spirit, and once they drop you off the path, the correct path, you're gone.
Is it possible?
And I explained to you what this is here. Notice the look and the gesture around the neck. I mean, that's a clear threat. You want to leave the Matrix? That's what's going to happen to you. So, this here is similar to Dr. Shaw in this movie now. And this here is the engineer. So the thinking here, there's a proposal in this movie, is how you control the engineers, right? Look what he tells him.
Morning.
Listen to what he says.
Well, tonight, guarantee.
So they keep you up, right, until you really are made into a slave. They keep you, they insomnia and
Tank, I'll be your operator.
Tank, he'll be his operator. If it's a donkey, they beat it with a stick. If it's a car, with the steering wheel. If it's a man, slave, right? Get up to work. So he's his operator.
You don't have any holes?
Holds.
No. Me and my brother Dozer were both 100% pure old-fashioned homegrown.
Humans. I have a problem with that.
Born free right here in the real world.
So is there a real world and non-real world? Genuine child of Zion, meaningly his mother is so-and-so. Now notice his brother, this is Dan, and his brother Dozer are multiracial. Usually a black man in a movie such as Morpheus, such as Denzel Washington in their movie Fallen and so on, they illustrate or they signify a demon, right? But here, these are Nephilims. So their mothers probably are demonists, similar to Ripley. I showed you how Ripley's fingers and so on, and in Alien. And their father is white, right? Or a human being. So they're the mix between the two thereof. So these are Nephilims. They really never go out and fight and shoot and so on. They just operate others, such as the Matrix. You know how those special characters scroll across the screen? They're like Neos, right? So you see, you can tie all these facts together and then come up with some real twisted, can observe and sort out some really twisted dogma and understanding.
So, if it was over tomorrow, Zion's where the party would be.
But you will not be there because they want your children. You will never join the party in Zion unless you're a tank, unless you're a Nephilim, a hybrid, supposedly according to the Western mythology, between angel and human, right?
Underground?
Deep underground, meaning it's hidden, underground. Don't go underground. He, the engineer, right, will never go underground into Zion's core. That's reserved. They will take his children. Sometimes, if his wife is of the type of Tank's mother, then the children go into the underground Zion, right? Not him, right? No, he'll stay out. He's just a sperm donor, a cloner. So I want to say that. Let me go back here. Give me a second. So I believe that if you look closely at the movie, you will come to realize that Tank and Dozer, the brothers, are the children of Trinity and Morpheus.
Welcome to the real world.
Real, yeah. You wake up to the reality, right? That they're around, that you never seen before.
We've done it, Trinity. We found him.
I hope you're right.
That's the mother of Tank and Dozer, and that's the father of Tank and Dozer. Morpheus.
I know.
They are Nephilims, right? There you go. That is the engineer, or whoever they mean by him. These are the two movies. Like I said, all those iconic movies, they all orbit the same center, the same meaning, the same dogma, and so on. Let me see if I can find anything else. So as you can see, I explained that here. That's being taken from him. The sperm is being taken from him, right? These are the two holes here. Gosh, they look like eyes. Right? The blues, the reds are just being discarded, right? So what does that mean? Boys and girls? I don't know. So they're taking the boys and discarding the girls? Or I don't know. I really don't know. But here, that definitely means he's being used to siphon off genetic materials for cloning.
He still needs a lot of work. Why are you doing?
And the control here is heavy-handed. What they're showing you is that this engineer is being really crushed. You know, and remember when I made comments on Trinity and everybody who deals with him, they really never give him an answer, except Cypher. The Cypher, the Arab Zero, right? He is the only one who tells him the truth. In this movie, in their movies, I will trust Cypher any day, any time, and abandon these fucks.
Your muscles have atrophied.
Rebuilding them, meaning he was like being cloned and they're just feeding him and so on.
We've never used them before.
Oh, see, he's a clone. So the Adam Street Bridge Neo is no longer underground. He's all these billions, as you saw in that incubation chambers that are those towers of millions and millions of Neos, right? You know, in incubation chambers.
Rest the answers are coming.
The answers never came. He never gets answers, nor will they ever come. Once they used him and abused him, and they will suck up the juice and throw away the shell, and the agents will kill him, and that's that. They will have taken his sperms. When he wakes up, he finds that in his hand. What is that? I believe that's sedative, that's anesthesia, or that's drugs. They put him on drugs or something there. So as they keep him unconscious, or you know, his brain power diminished and degraded, his performance is degraded, and so on and so forth. So he won't like make a move. He will always be. I showed you that in the Alien movie toward the end when Ripley, blows all that smoke of all kind of chemicals on the xenomorph, as to keep him timid and incapacitated, if you will, so he won't hurt her. The same thing here. This here looks like those Palestinians headgear, right? Palestinian kufiya, I think it's called. And the control is the 12. 1, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the one in the middle. You'll find this on the dollar or something, but that's Zion, right? What did I tell you about the answers? He says, rest, the answers are coming. The answers will never come. There's not one time you inquire about any piece of knowledge, information, even normal life, right? They'll never give it to you. They raise you as such from whenever you're little, or cloned, if you will, or captured, or something of the sort.
What is this place? More important than what is when.
See, he never gives them an answer. This guy is uninitiated. He's as dumb as, well, not as dumb, maybe intelligent, but they don't allow him to interact. They basically blind him, uh, um, make him deaf, right, and mute, and they blank his mind by abuse, by whatever it is. So when he grows up, he's just empty. He's blank, right? I must admit, I began to realize that, like when I was probably, I don't know, 30 years of age or something.
You believe it's the year 1999, when in fact it's closer to 20.
So he was asleep for 100 years.
I can't tell you exactly what year it is, because we honestly don't know.
Yeah, it could be longer than that. It could be a million years.
There's nothing I can say that will explain it for you. Come here. See for yourself. This is my ship. How are we doing, Tank?
On. Ready.
EMP.
Electromagnetic pulse. Disables any electrical system in the blast radius. It's the only weapon we have against the machine.
Well,
Their old service and waste systems.
Old service and waste system. That's where they dumped him, right? Remember when I told you these are sewers, and that's where the ship is. That's evil right there.
well,
Their old service and waste systems.
so
Sewers.
There used to be cities that spanned hundreds of miles. Now these sewers are all that's left of them.
quiet.
Shut up. Notice, he never gets an answer. He is never enlightened. He's never awakened. Nobody wake him up. And as I explained to you in this video here, and in the videos in the series where I commented on the Matrix, right, in the 2 series, except Cypher, he is the only one who tells him the truth. Of course, they portray him as a traitor and so on. It's not true. And I personally, if these movies were true, and if there's such a word, I would trust Cypher, which is a 0, right? The Arab, he's the Arab, right? The Muslim, let's put it this way. Any day, any time, he tells him the truth. He is the only one who tells him the truth. Listen to him.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Neil. You scared the bejesus out of me.
Son,
It's okay.
is that
The Matrix? Yeah.
do you always look at it in coding?
Well, you have to. The image translators work for the construct program. But there's way too much information to decode the Matrix. You get used to it. I don't even see the code. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
Notice they make him look like a womanizer. Well, that's healthy, right? To love women.
You, want a drink? You know, I know what you're thinking. 'Cause right now I'm thinking the same thing. Actually, I've been thinking it ever since I got here. Why, oh why, didn't I take the blue pill?
See?
Good shit, huh? Oh,
Pats him on the shoulder.
likes it. Good for two things: degreasing engines and killing brain cells.
So that's poison, really. It keeps his brain weak and damaged.
So, can I ask you something? Did he tell you why he did it?
Now he tells him the truth.
Why you're here? Jesus.
And notice, they show you when he's talking to him, they show you one eye. Notice.
Why you're here?
They make him look like a demon. He's not. He's a human being. I mean, Cypher.
Jesus.
And Neo as well. So he's probably another, the way he's shaven and so on, he's another engineer.
So you're here to save the world.
Yeah, they saved the world. Well, for a long while.
What do you say to something like that? A little piece of advice. You see an agent, you do what we do. Run. You run.
He's telling him to become a coward and traitor. Not true.
Thanks for the drink.
Sweet dreams.
Okay, I'm gonna stop here, but you see the link between all these movies, especially the engineers here, Neo being an engineer when he was cloned and so on. They very much look alike, but it's a bonus. You know what? I'm gonna make a different video. Alright, so this is video number 2. Combine Matrix and Alien, and mentioned other movies, but I'm gonna make one bonus video.